Shalom from Israel, I'm Ariel Ben Avram. This week we're going to reflect on Psalm 55 by King David. It is a psalm about the betrayal of enemies. Shalom from Israel, I'm Ariel Ben Avram. This week we're going to reflect on Psalm 55 by King David. It is a psalm in general about supplication, about prayer, about asking for God's help in times of trouble. But in this case, these troubles are caused by immediate enemies. We're talking about people or situations that are immediate to us. So in this case, it's a member of the community who is plotting, who is causing affliction to King David in this case. But again, the supplication, the prayer goes directly to God as usual, as it must be. Let's start with the first verse. Listen to my prayer, God. Do not hide yourself from my supplication, from my request. Verse 2, attend to me and answer me. I am restless in my complaint and moan. Verse 3, because of the voice of the enemy, because of the oppression of the wicked, for they bring suffering on me. In anger they hold a grudge against me. My heart is severely pained within me. The terrors of death have fallen on me. As we can see, this is a very negative situation that David is bringing up. It's really saddened, it's really pained by the situation. He's really in pain. It's basically the pain of betrayal, the pain that we experience when all those who are around us are against us. So that we feel sometimes it's hard to explain the feelings, the emotions that we experience when we are betrayed by someone close to us. This is an extra pain, because it's not the pain of being surrounded by the enemy, that we are at war, that we don't know what to do and we ask God's help, because it's our last resort. But in this case, it's something that is not necessarily life-threatening, but it's something that causes pain because of the nature of the affliction, the nature of the hurt. We can see, as we have commented before regarding these Psalms and in general the Hebrew Bible, there are several ways to understand and to approach the scripture. In this case, this Psalm, we can understand it in this case a twofold way. The actual fact that we can read in it, someone is causing damage, hurt, pain, affliction, and something that is inside of us that is causing that. So how could you say that one of your friends, one of your peers, one of your fellow countrymen has betrayed you, how do we understand that in our consciousness? Meaning, what is this kind of ally or neighbor or fellow countryman in our consciousness that has betrayed us? So we may say, for example, compassion. We may say, for example, patience, tolerance, something that is good in us, that is our ally, that is our friend, in the things that we consider friends of us, of ours, in our consciousness. So we have all these positive traits and qualities that we have in consciousness that we mentioned some before: loving kindness, compassion, grace, solidarity. And then we feel that we have been betrayed, that one of those, it's like, how is that possible that something good, or that we consider good, is part of our goodness, he's against us, has caused something negative in us? Let's take, for instance, compassion. We feel compassionate for someone, but then that compassion in some way sometimes can betray us. So we were too compassionate, or we were counting on compassion in a situation that it didn't request compassion. And then we feel that quality against us. Or being abundantly loving, kind to someone. And then we say, I have to restrain my loving kindness in certain situations, because if I don't do that, it could be against me. So you know, we call it the overbeing. You have to be careful about overbeing something. Now the question is, how can we be overdoing? How can do something good in excess that cause damage? We know that. It's called spoiling. It's called letting be and letting do. And then we see the result. This probably will be one of the cases that can be compared, or to, in order to understand that something that is part of us, like a friend, like a fellow countryman, like someone who is close to us, has caused pain on us. This is the other way to see it. Now, the typical way is the way the psalmist said. Like, we have someone in the community who has done something wrong to us. And then this person, this quality, as we read, is something that has done something wicked, something wrong in us. And again, how something good can turn bad. We have mentioned that before. When we do overly something, more than necessary, and then we see the pain. But again, the pain is extra. It's an additional pain because we don't expect that. See, how come that my empathy, excuse me, how come that my empathy, the empathy that I feel for others, has caused something damage to me, something wrong, hurts me? Then we have to be careful with what and with whom we feel empathy. That's the lesson. So the idea is not necessarily to separate or declare this good quality, like empathy, an enemy. No, the empathy is not the enemy. The enemy is our overconfidence, over trust on our own empathy. We have to exercise empathy in situations and circumstances that make sense, that are proper. We call here in our commentaries the ethics of love. It's an ethical principle in love. It's not about hugging and kissing and letting be and letting do. It doesn't work, that's not love. But we have to be vigilant. Because love has rules, guidelines, ground rules, principles. That's the main distinction that we have. Judaism has in contrast to other religions. Other religions understand love as something completely unconditional. And you may say, yeah, but God is unconditional in His love for His creation. In other words, we still breathe. Unconditional as the sun, unconditional as the air, as we have mentioned before in other commentaries. Yeah, but this is a godlike thing. We're not gods. We don't have that kind of infinite loving kindness in order to hold a world, to sustain a world like this one. We are not gods. So you may say, yeah, but we are taught to emulate God's ways and attributes. Yes, of course. But within the limitations of human consciousness. So we have to be loving, kind, we have to be patient, we have to be tolerant, we have to be slow to anger, abundant in loving kindness and truth, but within this material consciousness. And then we know then that we have to apply rules and principles in what we think, what we do, what we believe. Once we establish those norms, those ground rules and guidelines, then we secure justice, fairness, integrity, judgment, like having a good judgment, as we mentioned before in other commentaries. So we have to be careful in how we exercise our goodness. It's very important. Forgive our enemies. Yeah, what kind of forgiveness? It's like, okay, I forgive you, next time you will do it again, and I forgive you forever and ever. No, that's not love. That's creating a situation of conflict and danger. We see that in the world now. We let other people with other ideas, with other understanding of what love is, and then we let them coexist with us. But then we realize that the way they understand love and goodness is completely different than ours. Then they kill, and then they kill people who are not like them, then etc., etc., etc. And then we have to be careful about that. There's a whole debate now in the United States about that. It's like, should we allow people in this country, the United States in this case, who are different, who think different, who don't respect the American constitutional values, who do not share their culture. It's a whole debate because the Constitution of the United States itself allows the diversity of religion, the different beliefs and that kind of thing. But the Constitution at the same time, they have limits in order to protect everybody's life. Thus, we understand that we have to be careful about what kind of goodness people practice. So there has to be a universal goodness based on principles, laws, ethics, values that are applicable to everybody. And then it would be, as they say, fair game, fair play. So people can exercise their religion and their beliefs within this frame. It's very important. But let's go back to this Psalm 55. So King David is asking God, I feel betrayed. This person in my community has caused me this affliction. And I go to you, Father. Listen to me. What should I do in this case? Protect me. Release me from this agony. So he said, my heart is severely pained within me. The terrors of death has fallen on me. It seems to be like this really affects King David to the point that he believes that he's almost dead. It's like he has lost. In some case, in this case, he has lost like his view of what life, peace, harmony is about. He lost it. He's afraid of being alive. It's like he may die. Fearfulness and trembling have come to me. Horror has overwhelmed me. I said, says King David, oh, that I had wings like a dove, fly away and be at rest. Like, can I escape from this? I mean, it's something really bad that happened here. We can see it. Then in verse 7 he says, behold, then I would wander far off. Wander far off. I would lodge in the wilderness. This is interesting because we were reading this psalm before the commentary. This particular verse evokes the exodus from Egypt. We were under the oppression of an oppressive system, Egypt, and Pharaoh, the king, and then God liberated us, redeemed us from that negative situation, the slavery in Egypt. Because he's saying, I would have wings to fly away. So in the passage in the Exodus, there's a passage that we say that God took us out of Egypt within his wings, with his wings, and then into the wilderness. So we can see that here. Behold, then I would wander far off. I would lodge in the wilderness. In the protection of God. Selah, forever. Then he continues saying, I would hurry to a shelter from the stormy wind and storm. And it's an evocation of the desert. We were under the protection of God all the time. Verse 9, confuse them, Lord, and confound the language. For I have seen violence and strife in the city. This is interesting because he mentioned city. He's now being more specific. It's in a particular place in which the situation is negative. We have said many times that cities represent states of consciousness. Usually consciousness is related to a city because you have different places, you have roads, you have streets, you have buildings, people. Those represents thoughts, ideas, feelings, emotions. So in this case, when he's talking about this conflict in the city, he's confused. He's not at peace, he's not in harmony within himself. Verse 10, day and night they prowl. When he's talking about day, he's talking about the enemies. Around on his walls, like that, pushing against the walls to break them down. Malice and abuse are also within her, talking about the city, the consciousness. So it's like all these negative things are coming to us. All these negative thoughts are afflicting us. Those are the enemies that come to the city. 11. Destructive forces are within her. They're destructive, obviously. Everything negative, the purpose of negative things are the purposes of the purpose. It's destruction. Threats and lies do not depart from her streets. 12. For it was not an enemy who insulted me. Then I would have endured. So David is saying, as we said before, this is coming from someone who is part of us. It's not an enemy outside our people. It's someone who is within our community. For it was not an enemy who insulted me, then I could have endured it. It's like, if I know that it's a declared enemy, I know who to deal with. We're dealing with something that is ours, something that is good in us, something that is part of us. So it's like, how come that something that is part of myself that's supposed to be good, because we, by definition, you have the potential to be good. So we strive to be good. That's why we remain alive, because of the goodness that we have for each other. If we don't care for each other, it's impossible. But even evil people depend on the goodness of other people. There is someone to give them food, to give them shelter, to give them protection, and they are evil. It's interesting, the dynamics of goodness. Goodness is transcending everything. And wickedness is temporary, never lasts. The thing that always lasts is goodness. So the wicked people don't realize that, by the way. They're wicked, but they depend on goodness in order to be alive. And they are wicked. It's like, how could that be? So we're supposed to be good because of the goodness we receive in order to satisfy our needs. Food, shelter, knowledge. In order to protect the goodness of the shelter and the sustenance, the bread that we eat every day. These people are evil. This is one of the paradoxes, because this is not a paradox. There would be irony in this case of human consciousness. We always mention the case of the Nazis in Nazi Germany. These people love the Führer, the leader, they love their families, they love their country. But they hated Jews. They hated handicapped people, they hated minorities, they hated blacks, gypsies. And And people can say, how come these people love something but hate something at the same time? But that's the way it is. So we have a lot of work in our consciousness to make goodness prevail. It's a long way. Because most people believe they're good, but they hate, they're prejudiced. It's like, how can we do that? And then they themselves say, well, this is not a black and white thing, we have to look for the gray, but it doesn't work that way. It is black and white. Either we are good or we are not. That's what we were saying before, that we need to understand love and goodness within the frames of moral and ethical principles. It cannot be in any other way. It's like, okay, you are good, but you're not supposed to hate people because they're not like you. Yeah, you may say, yeah, but they do bad things. It's a different story. Then your enemy is evil. Then you have to fight your enemy. And tell your enemy, hey, you guys are doing something evil. This is not part of the ethics of goodness. Therefore, we have to change this thing. You guys have to change. You cannot go on like this. And then they have the choice. Say, no, we're not going to do that then. We have to fight. Until the end. To destroy our enemy. That kind of enemy. We have to. We cannot allow that to be in our house. And in this case, it's human consciousness. That's the big house. Then we understand the dynamics of goodness and love. We understand that. The things that for thousands of years we have been practicing this kind of thing, this kind of mentality. But this is the time that if we really want to change the world and we really want redemption from evil and wickedness, we have to start separating ourselves from that wickedness, from that evil. And start practicing loving kindness, truth, grace, solidarity, cooperation, compassion, empathy, within the frames of moral and ethical principles. So we make justice prevail. That's justice, that's judgment, by the way. So let's continue. David says, if you would have been a declared enemy, I would have endured this situation. And this is part of me, it's part of my people. Continue. Neither was it he who hated me, who raised himself up against me. This is an interesting phrase. Neither was he who hated me, who raised himself up against me. It's like, this is not really an enemy of mine. It wouldn't be against me. Then I would have hidden myself from him. If the man who really wanted to do something bad for me, of course I have to protect myself. I have to hide. But in this case, that's not the case. So that's why David is so concerned. This is a very important psalm. Because this is like a part of us that betray us in such a way that we lose confidence in ourselves. We feel that we're dead. Really. It's like, how come that it's like, by death we're talking about is that we lose the whole point of being alive. Really. That's death. So that's why David is so concerned. This is not a regular enemy. This is something weird that is happening. It's how come that something that is part of me is against me and try to destroy me? There has to be something evil. Of course it is, but how come that is coming from my community, my people, my consciousness? That's why he's asking for help from the higher being that is God. Well, explain this to me. We continue. Verse 13, but it was you, a man like me. So David is facing the enemy now. He's talking about the enemy in second person. It's you, a man like me, my companion, my friend, and my familiar friend and close friend. This is really tough when we're dealing with this kind of situations. When someone close who is our enemy, becomes our enemy. 14. We look sweet fellowship together. Together we look for the same goodness. We walked in God's house with company. We were together with people looking forward for goodness, for God. Verse 15, let death come suddenly on them. So David said, these people deserve to die. Let them go down alive into the grave. For wickedness is in the dwelling, in the midst of them. It's like, this is not good people. This is not a good trait. I thought that my empathy was good. It was with me all the time, but I realized that I didn't put it in the right place. It was not empathy, really. It was convenience. It's like this quality has a particular interest that was not clean at all. There's a hidden agenda. This kind of compassion that I had or they had for me was not, it was something else. That's what we're saying. We have to really be careful about how we understand positive qualities. If you say grace, loving kindness, compassion, solidarity, cooperation, and we say, yes, those are good qualities. But we have to repeat this again and again and again. We have to put them within the ground rules and guidelines of ethics. It's like, is it good for me? It has to be good for others. For instance, few times we do that. That we evaluate every moment what is the quality of the good traits and trends and qualities that we have. If people say, I'm a good person, say, sure, you are. Tell me what you do every day. I take care of my family, I take care of my community, I work in a way in which I get benefit and other people get benefit from my work. And we all win. They say, yeah, you are doing great. But then if that's not the case, it's like, oh, I love my family, but then some of my children are not as good as they supposed to be in the school or in the neighborhood. They will say, I thought that they were good. I say, yeah, but they're not doing the goodness that you think they do. Or they're being too selfish. And then we have to sit down with them. So what happened here? What is this feeling of lack that you have that led you to be selfish to others? It's like, don't you have anything that you have to take from others? Or not share with others? And then we do the learning process. Why? Because goodness has to be conceived and manifest in those terms, within those frames. So David is asking God again in verse 10, as for me, I call on God. God will save me. And in this case, the saving is about redeeming myself for this kind of negative trait. So this is not a friend, this is an enemy. This is a negative trait in consciousness that I need to get rid of. But I can't, it's part of me. Then I ask God to take care of that. Say, I cannot, it's part of me, it's within my community, it's my companion, we go together to your house. But it's not doing anything good to me. And God listens. 17, evening, morning, at noon, I will cry out in distress. God, He will hear my voice. David is saying, everything that I don't have clear in my consciousness, every moment in my life, every moment, I have to ask God, God, please check this out for me. How we do that? It's like, but God is abstract. It's there. How is checking these things out for us? We do that within ourselves. Our higher judgment, our highest understanding, reasoning, discerning level help us figure it out. Because these higher levels are the ones that are closer to God. And then we realize, like, well, next time I have to pay attention. That's God's help, by the way. "18. He has redeemed my soul in peace." In other words, once we discern about what is good and right, wrong, false, true, useful, useless, productive, destructive, we are in peace. That's having good judgment. That we know what is right and what is wrong. He has redeemed my soul in peace from the battle that was against me. It's a battle. We are dealing in situations when we're dealing with negative situations, it's a battle. We face battles every day. You know what to do that is right, that is proper. Although there are many who oppose me. See, David is saying it's not only one, there are other people, there are other things. There are other traits and trends in consciousness that turn against the goodness that I am. They interfere in my exercise of manifesting, being, and having goodness. We know them: envy, jealousy, lust, wrath, arrogance, indifference, indolence, and their companions. And we battle them every day. It's a constant battle. Verse 19, God, who is enthroned forever, will hear and answer me forever. They never change. Those who do not fear God. You know, fearing God is not respecting goodness. No, it's a fear of God. They don't have fear of God. They don't respect goodness. In this case, it's reverence as respect and acceptance of goodness as the higher goal, purpose, and destiny of life. So the enemies of God do not fear God. So the negative traits and trends in consciousness do not respect goodness. They don't. So let's be aware of that. Verse 20. He raises his hands against his friends. He has violated his covenant. Of course, he's talking about this enemy that he was mentioned at the beginning of the verse. So in other words, once we have a negative trait or trend in consciousness, let's say for instance, envy. Envy doesn't like anything very much because he or she covets, wants to take from other people, regardless the consequence of it. So David is basically saying, I cannot have anything negative in my consciousness because that would be against my friends, against the goodness, the good qualities. "21. His mouth was smooth as butter, but his heart was war." In other words, the appearance, that's what we were mentioning before. It could look like a positive quality, compassion, loving kindness. Yeah, it's like, wow, it's as soft as butter. Yeah, this is something good. But then the way it manifests is not as good as it seems. So this kind of compassion is not the kind of compassion that we need. That would be some kind of being accomplice of something not right. Like covering up something wrong. So that's not the kind of compassion that I want. I want compassion that can correct anything wrong I may have done. And again, this is another part of the big differences between Judaism and other religions. And it's the ethical difference. You're like, yeah, I can forgive you. You killed thousands of people. I forgive you, no problem. And then the problem is saying, don't do it again. But then I do it again and then I forgive you. And I do it again and I forgive you. It doesn't work that way. Not just the person, it's not about forgiveness. They have to pay for the damage that he has done. That's love. That's compassion. That's justice. That's truth. That's solidarity. That's empathy, by the way. It's like I'm gonna recognize that there's something good in you, even that you committed major crimes. Ultimately, you're good because you're an image and likeness of God. So there's something good about you. But guess what? You need to correct. In order to honor the goodness that you are, you have to correct what you have done wrong. Compensate. And even if you have to pay with your life for what you have done, for the sake of justice, ethics, and goodness, die. As simple as that. But no, we condone and we accept and it doesn't work that way. It doesn't. that's what we're saying, that this is a complex thing, because we have to understand this particular situation of King David in our consciousness. How do we relate this to our consciousness? So what is good in us that is not that good? What is this friend? That is the companion that I used to go together with friends to the house of God together. Who enters in the house of God? Goodness. So how come that this quality that's supposed to be good is not good? How come? It wasn't good, basically. So we have to repeat this, we have to be vigilant about what kind of goodness we practice every day, every moment. So let's repeat this. His mouth was smooth as butter, but his heart was war. His words were softer than oil, yet they were drawn swords. Like real evil, like destruction. Verse 22. Cast your burden on God, and He will sustain you. He will never allow the righteous to be moved. Meaning, to be taken into the wrong way. So in other words, David is saying, we have issues with evil, with negative traits and trends in our consciousness, either inside of us or outside of us. And we cannot deal with them. We have to ask for God's help. We take this burden to Him. So what would I do in this case? And again, God in this case is our highest judgment. And by judgment, we have to clear that up, is discerning, knowing what to do, doing what is right, having good judgment. That we have to do. And then the righteousness, the goodness, the doing what is right, these frames, these guidelines, these ethical guidelines won't move us from our balance, harmony, and our integrity, wholesomeness, also called peace in Hebrew. Verse 23, and last of this Psalm 55, says King David, "But you, God, will bring them down into the pit of destruction." Now, how come God is going to destroy, as David is saying, wickedness? Oh, it's going to be an old man who's going to come and is going to throw a thunderbolt on them and they will be destroyed. That's the image that most people have. But that's not what it says here. Because in other places, in the book of Psalms, and you may look cross-reference when you look in your Bible stories, he says, wickedness will destroy the wicked, and the enemies of the righteous are counted, meaning they're gonna disappear. So when David is saying God will destroy them, the wickedness will destroy the wicked. As simple as that. It's a cause and effect situation. This is not something unnatural. But you may say, but that's so much evil people, they're still alive, and the destruction doesn't kill them, doesn't destroy them. Wait and see. It will. It's cause and effect. This is not something that we can question. This is a law. But you may say, yeah, but in some cases that's not the case. This guy continues, even have children, the children continue doing wickedness. We have a saying in Spanish. I don't know if they have it in English or in other languages. They say, there is no evil that lasts 100 years, nor body that can resist it. It's like at some point, it will have to die. It's nothing permanent. It won't last. But you may say, yeah, but at the moment we're suffering. Yeah, but we have to do something. That's exactly the whole point. We have to work in our own individual consciousness in order to remove what is not needed, what is not necessary, this evil that we're talking about, these negative trends and traits in consciousness, in order to make goodness prevail in all levels, dimensions, facets of life. That's the whole idea. Now, we pray God, we pray for this higher goodness to prevail, meaning to eradicate anything different than it. Of course we do. We ask God. Again, when we ask God, we're asking this highest awareness of goodness to remove and destroy the negative traits and trends in consciousness that cause evil and wickedness in life. As that. Bloodthirsty and deceitful men shall not live out half their days. Now, we have to understand them also in a different way. We say, yeah, they're still alive, but we call them, in the Hebrew scriptures, dead, walking dead people. You say they are alive, but what kind of life is that? They're entrapped in this negative predicament, doing evil and wickedness all the time. That's not life. They're living death and causing death as destruction, and destruction as death. Everywhere they go. And then we see them and they say, this guy missed the whole point. Life is good. Life is about goodness. Life is about happiness, expansion, inclusiveness. These guys are not that dead. They're doing exactly the opposite. And then we realize who is alive really and who's dead. Then after they die, what are they taking with them? Evil? To where? Probably to an evil place. We don't know about that. We haven't been there yet. Then we say, oh, there's a hell and they're gonna burn in hell. We don't know that. Yeah, but the scriptures and the traditions say, of course, this is the hell that they live and they carry with them every moment. When they die, they take them with them. That's what it is. That's why we have to understand that, by the way. As we said it many times, wickedness will cause the death of the wicked. They're dead already. And of course, we don't want to live with dead people. We want to live with people who are alive, real alive. And that's those who live by, for, with, in, towards goodness. And then we know that that's our redemption. That's the world to come. That's heaven. That's the Messianic era. There's no evil there. Everybody's enjoying the delights of goodness and entering new dimensions of goodness that we're not aware of now. Because evil shades that understanding, that consciousness, that knowing, that awareness. So, But I trust in you, God. And that's the end. You know, I trust in goodness. And that's the whole point of life. That's where we came from, the goodness of God. That's who we are, and that's our destiny. That's our purpose in life. So, it was great to get in the depths of this Psalm 55 and understand what is behind these intricacies of our inner enemies and outer enemies, the way we understand them in our daily life, in what we think, what we feel, what we say and what we do. So with this we finish our commentary on Psalm 55 by King David. Hope that we have contributed to get us closer to the heart of God, for goodness, for life and peace. So until next time, I'm Ariel Ben Abraham from Israel. Have a blessed, abundantly blessed week. And until next time.